Another question is, why doesn't Bryce Harper try his hardest? But that's a whole nother matter. All right. So let's actually start Phils, then we'll go Eagles. Heavy Eagles today, but let's actually start with the win. If you missed it last night, and I swear, Cody Clemens, man, they got to find a way to get this guy on the postseason roster. He wrapped it up last night.
Phillies led this game 1-0. A homer tied it in the top of the ninth. The 1-0. Swing and a ground ball through. It's over. Cody Clemens wins it with a walk-off single to right.
Funny, that was a game last night that didn't have much going on until it had an awful lot going on at the end of the game. It's by the way, credit to Christopher Sanchez, because he's the star of the game. And I can tell you right now, I guarantee you his name won't be said enough today on the show, because we're going to say, the names Jalen Hurts and the Eagles and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to talk about Bryce Harper. But Sanchez is going to get lost in the shuffle. It's a shame, because he was the best Phil last night, which really is critically important. As you look ahead to October, he obviously is going to be either the third or fourth starter, probably the fourth. We'll see, to what extent Ranger can get, his act fully together. But obviously,
you said you've loved those pitching duels before, Joe.
I mean, he probably should be the third.
I don't know about that.
It depends on how Ranger looks heading in the playoffs.
It does. Well, that's my point. I mean, but look, Ranger.
He was masterful last night.
He was great.
And Joe, you've said in the past you love the pitchers' duels. You love the low-scoring games. Do you still maintain that you love low-scoring baseball games?
You enjoy getting no hit for 5 innings?
I mean, really?
Did I say yes to that?
No. Seriously. If you really like that stuff, the way they're playing,
I love it. I'm with you, Joe.
Fast game,
I
buddy.
love a good pitch.
I'm still looking for the 17-13 football game, but apparently I got to put on a TV game from 1985 to watch that anymore. All right. So if you want to react to the Phils, obviously go for it. I mean, they are in a great spot for the postseason, to get there, so to speak. They're doing good. Now, Harper, not. I mean, he is with hits, but John, why is he averse to running his hardest more often? I mean, listen, I guess
he's made so many base running errors. Sometimes it's too fast, sometimes it's too slow, sometimes it's too aggressive, sometimes it's not aggressive enough. It is his sort of kryptonite, if you are going to call it something.
It's really irritating. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Bryce Harper hit a ball, 9th inning last night, smoked it. Maybe it's going to go out. Maybe it's not. Turns out it did not go out. So 1-1 game remains a 1-1 game. But he is stuck at first base. When I say stuck in that moment, can only get to first because he didn't run out of the box.
Yeah.
Now
should have been on second, and then we got to a point where he would have likely scored.
Yeah.
With the way things had moved, with the way the base runners had moved.
And
so
Bryson
it was
Stott,
frustrating.
It's very frustrating. And if Bryson Stott doesn't leg out an infield single, and other guys don't get on, and blah blah blah, then you're in the 10th inning and round and round the.
He got very lucky, Bryce.
He got very lucky. So I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. I mean, I know, James, you for instance, have said this year, you think Bryce picks his spots.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not, like last night, not a spot. You have to, I will never excuse that. You have to run in that spot. 100% of people have to run in that spot.
All right. So that whole thing on the table, we'll continue to discuss that through the show. Because I asked this question back around, I don't know, May or June. I will ask it again. And it sounds ridiculous, but I think we've had enough evidence now that it more than meets the criteria of a reasonable question. Do you think Bryce Harper will try his hardest in the postseason? Not his hardest to hit the ball. Do you think Bryce Harper will try his hardest in October? Or will there be 1, 2, 3 different times where we get in here in the morning and say, damn it, he freaking did it again?
You don't really think he's going to do it in the playoffs, do you?
I think it is more likely than not.
I think it is far less likely than not. I think you can't compare the regular season to playoffs with baseball.
I can.
No, it really is.
Last night was totally unacceptable.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Well, but you said you can, and he did.
I'm just saying I would be
But it wasn't
floored
the
if it's the playoffs.
All right, so I want to put that out to everyone. What do you make of the Bryce thing? Obviously, credit to Sanchez. It was a good win. Phil's getting closer to the postseason. Let's talk some Eagles. So, obviously, the whole game is still on the table to be discussed. I mean, the reality is, we as a show have done one 4-hour show since the Friday night game. So there's still a lot of elements of it to break down. But, John, let's start with the quarterback here. So I'm curious where everyone stands at 215-592-9494 on Jalen Hurts. To really kind of just put it in a very simple form of a question, I'll ask this, John, to you and everyone. How good is he? And where do you stand on Jalen Hurts now, one game into year 5? John, the floor is yours. What do you make of it?
He is an elite NFL quarterback. I am convinced that he will return to playing like an elite NFL quarterback this season because he will be better coached, better informed, given a better set of plays, a better set of audibles to get to for certain situations. When they're man, he'll have man beaters. When they're zone, he'll have zone beaters. When they don't have the right play, he'll have the freedom to audibilize into the right play. We've seen that repeatedly this year already, where he's communicating to his receivers on the outside, making sure, that they understand. We've seen him communicate the protections with his offensive linemen. He's taking a major leap in terms of the responsibilities within this offense this year. And I am convinced, I am bullish on Jalen, but I'm aware he needs to be better. Week 1, he made some mistakes, some really obvious mistakes at times in terms of trying to force the ball when it shouldn't.
Yeah.
And he knows he needs to be better. Everyone can see that and know that Jalen, who is normally so parsimonious, he's so smart with the ball. He knows how to value the football. That's not like him. He didn't play like Jalen in that regard. I think part of that is he didn't do enough in the preseason. I think that is an institutional problem, an organizational problem to some degree. So I'm not sure who to blame for that, but I'm positive he is being taught well, and it seems like he's learning and receptive to the learning. I'm positive that he'll be better as he learns this offense every day, and that Kellen Moore is smart and a good teacher. And the X's and O's part, we are great. He will nail this with, calling out the mic and the protections and the sight adjustments with the wideouts. He's working on the emotional part, that interactive attachment with his teammates. He started working on it last Pro Bowl. I remember thinking, wow, Jalen's really sprightly and feeling it, and he was sort of practicing for, this.
Look.
He's ready to be that guy that they want him to be. They've talked to him about adjusting his attitude, and he's right there. We saw him play his best football in training camp this summer.
No, we saw him play his best football in 2022.
Okay, but he took a step forward in a new offense. This offense is more complex, where he's got more responsibilities within it. He's commanding things out there. I'm saying I like where this is going. I'm excited for him, but he needs to do better with the physical, that burst that I thought was certainly there. And I thought we saw it in training camp. I was worried last season about the burst, but lo and behold, he's looking like himself again during camp. I'm concerned that it sort of disappeared in week 1.
Yeah, look, there's so much to this, and it's ironic because I feel like this was, it's got themes that overlap with Carson, and hopefully it doesn't get to that point. I'll say this. If I had to give you a word on where I am with Jalen Hurts at this point, I would say the word is concerned. I and we all have seen, obviously, the really good that was so good that it was truly great. I'll always contend, I think that his performance in that Super Bowl was one of the great performances of any quarterback that lost the Super Bowl of all time. I'll tell you this, he played a lot better than most quarterbacks who have won a Super Bowl. So it was that great, and I loved it, meaning loved what he put out there that year. What I saw then was a dynamic athlete who was effective and methodical, kind of surgical, if you will, with the way he went about it. He was unflappable. His decision-making appeared exceptional, and he obviously leaned into utilization of an offense that he was very familiar with from high school and college that he was, I thought, the best I'd ever seen at. Ever. Like, of someone that did that kind of offense, I actually thought he was the best ever. Now what I see a player is, I see a player that is too often careless with the ball, and obviously this goes back to last year and this year. The turnovers are just stunning. I mean, if you really add up the numbers from last year and this year.
No, it was stunning how good he was at not turning it over.
It was.
Initially.
That's
like
right.
He was precociously good at not turning it over early.
Yeah, so, I mean, I see carelessness. I see decision-making that is a major issue, just a major issue. I mean, the throws he made the other day, the 4. I'm not going to say just the 2, the 4. The 2 that were picked, the 2 that weren't picked. I mean, just really bad decisions of when to throw the ball and where to throw the ball. He, one game into this year, appears to still be leaving the pocket early. And one game into this year, to me, and again, we got to see more to know how much of it was field-related to the other day, but he just doesn't look as athletically spry as the guy I saw in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So I add that up, and I say, yeah, my ledger, some really good still. He made some really great throws the other day, some really bad. My word I come away with, especially for a $250 million quarterback, is concerned. I mean, it's one thing if you're on a rookie contract and the team's not committed and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, you know, take a baseball player. If you're making $500,000, I can move off you quickly. If you're making a ton of money, like Trey Turner, it's harder to move off you quickly. Now, obviously in football you can more because it's not guaranteed deals. I'm just telling you, my word is concerned. You've heard my reasons. We'll see where you stand. 215-592-9494. Where do you stand at this stage on Jalen Hurts? How good is he? What do you make of what we saw week 1? What do you make of now 4 years and 1 game? Jalen Hurts. The floor can be yours. 215-592-9494. We'll do a lot more in the Phils as well. Big show, a lot of guests today as well. We'll detail that more coming up next, too, on 94 WIP.